In February of 1994, police in Gloucester, England, obtained a warrant to dig up the garden of an ordinary terraced house on an ordinary street, number 25, Cromwell Street. They were looking for one missing girl, the family's own daughter, 16-year-old Heather West, who had not been seen since 1987 and whose parents said she had run away. They found her. Then they kept digging, and over the following 2 weeks, they recovered 9 sets of human remains from beneath that house and eventually tied the couple who lived there to 12 victims in all. What is most disturbing about the case is not the number. It is how nearly the whole thing was missed. Fred West, born in 1941 in the Herefordshire village of Muchmarcle, was a builder and labourer and functionally illiterate. Rose Letts was 15 when they met in 1969 and 12 years his junior. They moved into 25 Cromwell Street in 1972 with a growing family, and Fred, being a builder, set about remodeling it himself. A cellar, an extension, a bathroom conversion over an old car inspection pit, a patio. He did the work personally over years, and the work provided both the opportunity and the concealment. The house was also let out as bedsits, which meant a steady stream of young lodgers passing through the address and a household in which the arrival and departure of a teenage girl was unremarkable. The record is precise about who was found and where, and the precision matters because the number is often reported wrongly. 9 were recovered at 25 Cromwell Street. 5 beneath the cellar, Carol Ann Cooper, 15, Lucy Partington, 21, a Cambridge undergraduate, Therese Siegenthaler, 21, a Swiss sociology student, Shirley Hubbard, 15, and Juanita Mott, 18. 1 beneath the ground floor bathroom in the old inspection pit, Linda Guff, 19, who had briefly lodged there. 3 in the garden, Shirley Robinson, 18, a lodger who was heavily pregnant, Alison Chambers, 16, and Heather West, the couple's own daughter. 3 more were found elsewhere, Charmaine West, 8, Fred's stepdaughter, buried beneath a previous address on Midland Road, and in fields near Fred's childhood village, his first wife, Catherine Costello, and a young woman named Anne McFall, who had been a nanny to his children and who disappeared in 1967 before Rose entered his life at all. 12 in total. That last fact, that Fred had killed before he ever met Rose, would become the foundation of her defense. The case did not break through forensic science or a missing persons alert. It broke through a child protection investigation, and it very nearly did not break at all. In August of 1992, one of the West children disclosed abuse to a friend's mother, and police executed a search warrant at Cromwell Street. A detective constable named Hazel Savage conducted the follow-up interviews, and in the course of them, she noticed something beyond the abuse allegations. 2 children of that household were unaccounted for, Charmaine, who had simply stopped being mentioned, and Heather, who had supposedly run away. Then, in 1993, the prosecution collapsed. Key witnesses withdrew and refused to testify. Fred and Rose West walked out of court free, and by every ordinary measure, that was the end of it. Savage did not let it go. She kept going back to the surviving West children, and what eventually surfaced was a family joke. The children had grown up being told, when they misbehaved, that they would end up under the patio, like Heather. It had been said to them as a threat, and they had understood it as a grim piece of family humor. Savage understood it as something else. On the 24th of February, 1994, police returned with a warrant to excavate. On the 25th, Fred West admitted to killing Heather, describing it as manslaughter. On the 26th, her remains were recovered and identified from dental records. Within days, he had notified police through his solicitor that he intended to confess to around 9 killings, and then began directing them to the sites away from Cromwell Street. Fred West was charged with 12 murders. He was never tried. On the 1st of January 1995, he killed himself in his cell at Winson Green Prison in Birmingham using strips of blanket. The date was Rose West's 41st birthday, and he left a note addressed to her. His death changed everything about the case against her, because with Fred gone, there was no competing account, and because Charmaine had died while Fred was in prison for theft, which meant Rose alone could have been responsible. Rose West was charged with 10 murders and tried at Winchester Crown Court from October of 1995 before Mr. Justice Mantell, prosecuted by Brian Levison and defended by Richard Ferguson. Ferguson's argument was straightforward and, on its face, not unreasonable. Fred had killed before Rose was in his life, there was no physical evidence tying her to any of the killings, and the case against her was circumstantial. 2 things defeated that argument. The first was the judge's ruling to admit similar fact evidence from women who had survived assaults by the Wests in the early 1970s. Testimony that established a pattern of the 2 of them acting together, which was precisely what the defense needed to deny. The second was Janet Leach, a volunteer social worker who had served as Fred's appropriate adult through his police interviews because of his illiteracy, and who had spent more than 400 hours in his company. Called as a prosecution rebuttal witness, she testified that Fred had privately told her Rose had killed Charmaine and had played a major part in the others, and that he had agreed to take the blame himself. Under cross-examination, she denied having sold her story to a newspaper, then collapsed in the witness box with a stroke. She returned after hospital treatment and admitted that she had. The jury convicted Rose West on the 21st and 22nd of November 1995 of all 10 murders. Mantell gave her 10 life sentences and recommended she never be released. Her appeal was dismissed by the Lord Chief Justice in 1996. In July of 1997, the Home Secretary imposed a whole-life tariff, making her only the second woman in modern British history to receive one. She announced another appeal in 2000 and abandoned it in 2001. She is now 72, held at a prison in West Yorkshire, and she has never admitted guilt. 25 Cromwell Street was demolished in October of 1996, and every fragment of the rubble was deliberately destroyed rather than tipped, specifically so that nothing could be taken as a souvenir. The site is a landscaped walkway now, and one name is still missing from the list: Mary Bastholm, 15, who vanished in January of 1968 on her way to catch a bus, and who worked at a cafe Fred West frequented. In 2021, police excavated that cafe after a television crew reported blue material in the cellar. Mary was last seen in blue. It was part of a pipe. She has never been found, and West was never charged in connection with her. The question the case leaves is not how a man like Fred West existed. It is how, for more than 20 years, a house on a residential street that police had visited repeatedly, whose children, teachers, and social workers had worried about, went unexamined. If you want the next case file, subscribe. New files unlock every